This is going to be a really quick lesson talking about a couple more complex compound interest problems, but it'll go pretty quickly, and if you got the compound interest, then this is just a small little additional step. So let's start with this problem here. You invest $250 at 12% interest compounded annually. How much will you have after 20 years? Now this is exactly like the problems you worked on last night for homework. You have an initial investment here, $250,000. This is your initial. You have your rate here of 12%, and you have your time, which is 20 years. So if I want to know how much money I will have after 20 years, if I start with $250,000, then I will just say the amount after n years is equal to 250 times 1, and that's that 100% here, plus my rate, which is 1.12 to the power of 20, the number of years. Right? Or I can simplify this, and this is just 250 times 1.12 to the power of 20. And now all I need to do is put that in my calculator, and I can solve this, and I'm going to get my answer, which is A of 20 is equal to 2,411.57. So after 20 years, my 250-pound initial investment ends up being 2,411 pounds and 57 pence. All right? Now that's a problem like we looked at, but really, in actuality, banks don't just compound once every year. They compound several times over the year, and depending on the bank that you're working with, they will compound in different ways. So one way you'll see this is fairly common. You will see banks that say they will invest your money, but they will compound your interest monthly. So in this case, we're going to look at the same problem, but now, instead of compounding annually, we're going to compound monthly. Right? Now, if the bank just every month gave you an additional 12% on your investment, if you calculate this, you will see that very quickly you would become a very, very, very wealthy person, even with just an initial 250-pound investment. So instead, what they do is they don't give you the entire rate every time. Because they're compounding monthly, and there are 12 months in a year, then what they're going to do is every month they will only give you 1/12 of that actual percent. All right? So again, if I want to find how much money after 20 years, then I'm going to say A of 20, the amount after 20 years, is equal to my initial investment, again 250, times 1, which again is at 100%. But now my rate is going to be that 12%, but I'm going to have to divide it by 12. And this 12 on the bottom, this is because it's monthly. Right? The 12 on the top, this is just the rate. So 12% divided by 12 months means that I'm going to get 1/12 of that 12% every month. And now I'm going to take it to the power of 20 years, but because I'm getting it paid out monthly, I'm actually going to get 20 years times 12, because every single year I'm going to get 12 payments because I get one per month. So this is the actual amount we're calculating. And then we can simplify this, obviously, and we would get that this is 250 times 1.01, if we simplify that, to the power of 240. Right? So that's the amount that we're actually going to calculate when we do this. And then it's just a matter of plugging it into your calculator. And if you plug it in, you're going to see that you end up with a value of 2,723.14. So there's my amount if I compound monthly, all right? And you can see over 20 years, if you remember the last one, if we look back at it for just a second, the last value was 2,411.57. If I compound once per year, if I compound monthly, then I have an additional $300 over that 20-year period. Not a ton, but a good amount. And that's from doing nothing except compounding more frequently. So a lot of banks do this to entice people to go to their bank. Right? When we talk about compounding, not annually, but more, then you're really going to see three things pop up the most. Semi-annually, meaning 2 times a year. Quarterly, meaning 4 times a year. And monthly, like we just looked at, meaning 12 times a year. So always you need to think about how many times every year you're going to divide your rate by that number, and you're going to multiply your time by that number. All right? So I have one more problem here that I'd like you to look at. Stephanie spends the whole summer break working at a chocolate factory in Switzerland where she makes 4,000 euros. When she returns, she puts her money in the bank that offers her a rate of 6% interest compounded quarterly. And that's really going to be important, compounded quarterly. If she leaves the money there and doesn't touch it, how much will she have in 5 years? All right, so what I'd like you to do now is pause this video, try to work this out, and then start it up again and see if your solution is the same as the solution that I come up with. Okay? All right, so you've paused the video, you've tried it, you have a solution. Let's see if it's the same as mine. So in this case, we want to know the amount after 5 years. So the amount after 5 years, we're going to start with our initial amount, which is that 4,000 euros that she made selling her ice cream, or sorry, selling her chocolate. And now I'm going to multiply by 100% plus the additional percent that we got, which is 0.06. But in this case, because it's quarterly, I'm going to divide by 4, right? Because I have to take a fourth of that every payment term. Otherwise, again, it's going to get way too big. Now to the power of, and it's after 5 years, so 5. But now I have to multiply that 5 times 4 because every year I'm going to get paid 4 times. So really, over 5 years, I get paid 20 times. All right? And then I can simplify this, and this just becomes 4,000 times 1.015 to the power of 20. Right? And that's the thing that you can calculate to find your final answer, which is that A of 5 is 5,387.42 euros. And that's your final answer. That is how much money you would have if you put this in the bank for 5 years compounded quarterly. Okay, so there's a video there's a homework sheet with just 3 problems on it. Try that now. If you tried it last night without the video, take a look at it one more time, see if you were on track with it or not. All right, and as always, email me if you have questions, and I will see you very soon. All right, goodbye.